So we have two people that I would like to introduce. This is Dr. Louis. Come forward. And Dr. Rose is her manager. So. No, keep the chair there.
Okay, Lois, you're welcome. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
And speak up, yeah? Don't forget to speak up.
Okay, maybe just a few reviews. Have you handed in the assessment which was for the last 3 students that were remaining?
I was able to give in 2 of them. One of them is still pending.
One is still pending, you're
Yes.
still working on it.
Yes.
And how has been your work this morning?
I was not able to come in. I came in at around 9:30.
Okay.
I had some issues to deal with before I came into work, but I hope to be here until I think 6 o'clock. So the morning, it has been fairly well.
Okay, that's good. So issues were at home
Yeah,
with the children, husband? Sorry, I don't want to go into your personal life. You're free not to tell me if you don't want.
you see, my youngest child has been ill for a while, so it's difficult finding the balance between going to a hospital and then coming in to work at 8 o'clock. I apologize for that.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. And how long has this been on?
It's been the last 3 months, only 3 months, yes.
Okay, the last 3 months. Okay. Is it something very serious or these common illnesses?
Well, it has been, the doctors are not yet sure what is really wrong. So it's a matter of, we keep on going for reviews. He's better, not better, like that. So that's why it has been prolonged for a while.
Okay. Now we hope that will be out of the way very soon.
Yes.
Okay, now I've called you this morning really to something that we need to talk about, or something that I need to communicate to you. I'm sorry, it's finding you in a situation where your child is a bit unwell, but this is an issue which has pushed on for the last 2 years. Okay, you remember for the last 2 semesters we've been talking about you improving your availability at work, improving your assessment, handing in assessments in time, and we've talked about it for at least twice. And unfortunately, it has reached an extent, because after the second time of our discussion, I had to go to the board. You remember the 2 results times when we presented the result sheets, and when we came back to talk between the 2 of us, there are some results which seemed not really to be, I can say that were falsified. And so it went to the board the first time and the second time. If this was happening, especially your poor availability, if it was just happening in these last 3 months, that is something that would be reviewed. But since this has stretched in 2 years, and we've presented it twice, and this time it went to another level where it touched now final students, where their results were shown to have been not exactly what was expected when we went into the records, which was termed as falsification. And so this really was serious to the board. And we came up with some serious decisions. Unfortunately, I'm the one to communicate it, and not as a personal communication, but it's something which the body came up with. Because even the evaluation forms were put out and reviewed once again, and unfortunately came to the decision to terminate your services.
Yeah? I have been in this university for 20 years. 20 years. And now you're terminating me? Do you know how much? This is unfair. I'm going to sue. You will hear from my lawyers.
Okay, first you can first come back and we talk a little bit.
No. This is very unfair. I'm going to sue.
Okay, you can first settle down. And
No, I will sue. We shall go back and look at those records once more. Are they really falsified?
Okay. So we can talk a little bit more.
I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk. If this is really the decision of the board, let them put it in writing. Okay. Then we shall talk.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, so actually, seeking legal redress is your right.
Of course, it's my right.
And we have to look at implications on all sides.
It's unfair.
Looking at the side of the university, they usually come up with such decisions after also looking at all the outcomes.
I will appeal the decision.
And that is very fine once you decide to make that. And I also advise that actually you first calm down, give it some 2 days, very good thought. Because
okay, let's take a break. No, stay here. Stay here. Okay. So, how is it going? How is it going?
it's tough.
It's tough. What is tough? So let's share. What's tough? What is it? Your emotionality? Is it the message? Is it a reaction? What is tough?
The message itself is tough.
The message itself is tough.
And the reaction is tough. I thought it wouldn't be so eruptive because we have gone through several sessions of warning, but it became eruptive.
So when it becomes eruptive, what happens then?
I tried to calm the person down and also to gauge if it can turn physical to me.
Okay. Yeah. So what did I say with the emotions?
Yes. Say I'm supposed to listen to the emotions. I think maybe I lost that part when the eruption came in.
Yeah. So when they're in the emotional part, you stay back.
Okay.
You stay back and let them deal with their emotions. Yeah. So she's running around the room and she's crazy and she's angry and you're worried about your safety. As long as she's not coming to you, there's no worry about safety. What could you do to increase your safety?
Now I was just watching her distance and I was saying, okay, if it is towards me, then I'm going behind my chair.
So, what do you do then when you stand up?
I try to calm the person down and I say, okay, if it is towards me, then I'm going behind my chair.
So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up? So, what do you do then when you stand up
When I stand up, I step back.
You increase emotionality.
Okay.
Because now you're showing the other person that you're emotional too. As long as you sit in your chair, you are in charge.
Okay.
You are in charge because you have your emotions under control. Because if you both stand now and move around, then she has actually a reason to follow you. Because guess what? You're not listening to her anymore. You're not listening to these emotions. And she wants to be heard about these emotions. She wants for once to say how she feels about this place, how unfair this is, what she's going to do. Who cares? Who cares what her emotionality is? You are in charge, and you show her you are in charge. Yeah? And so in the beginning I thought it was also interesting you said, how are you? Asking about her children. So did you set up the emotionality in her?
Yeah, you did.
Because you brought already, oh God, yes, I'm dealing with a sick child, I'm dealing with this trouble at home. And of course, she knows she's not the best employee to begin with. Yeah? She's been on 2 improvement plans. Yeah. So don't raise the level of emotionality during these conversations by saying, how are you doing? Yeah. Because that's usually, you care about me and I will share something that no other person knows. Yeah. That's not where you want to go. This is not how the conversation is supposed to go. Yeah. Setting up means also for you internally setting yourself up and saying, what is it? I've invited you today. We have to talk about some news. Are you ready to discuss the news? It's all you say. Yeah? Don't go towards family, don't go towards anything in the... And then you delivered nicely the facts, you know. You've had twice shortcomings that I had to take to the board, and now it's the 3rd time, and the board has come back to me because they elevated it to the next level. Yeah, so that was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. But don't trip into her emotional trap that she laid out in front of you.
I could even cry when you change your mind.
Okay? So that's really, really important for you to recognize. If you have difficult conversations, that's usually where it goes, and where we automatically, and because we are in care professions, that's often what we tend to do. We rush to help. But this is not your job. This is not what you were told to do, to rush to help. That's over. This conversation is over in terms of help. You're making it clear of what the consequences are and how this person can make a graceful exit out of the organization. So don't become vindictive, because this person may have a chance somewhere else to do great work. So use your empathy there in what you set up as the next step, so that she knows you still care about her as a person. So I talked to HR, I arranged for this. There are other places where you can find employment, and even there, be careful that you don't say too much. Yeah. So this is not a situation where you get love for delivering the message. Nowhere, never, ever. Nobody wants to hear this news. Yeah. So they're not best friends of you suddenly saying these things. So don't expect that you walk out of that conversation feeling good. You don't. Yeah. These conversations leave you that you go to a colleague and say, I have to tell you what I just did. Yeah. So, and set this up. so that you have like, afterwards somebody who asks, so how did it go? And you said, man, this was really hard on me. Yeah. And you can talk about your own emotionality in this situation. Yeah. So that's why I say, only when you experience that, you can actually figure out how you are doing. Yeah. So
what message did you deliver?
I delivered someone's excommunication or termination of services.
Did you tell her that she's terminated?
Yes.
So are you happy you delivered that message?
Of course not. I'm happy that I delivered it.
Yes.
Because, I mean, I felt it was due. I'd assessed the person myself, and I agreed with the board. I'm happy I delivered it, but I wished it was another person.
So the way she was talking, she almost didn't deliver the message. In fact, of all the things you talked, you took the shortest second delivering that. She almost went away without delivering the message. Because even after he said, maybe we can talk after 2 days, go and settle down, yet your purpose was to deliver that message and finish it. So you don't want to keep the story going before you deliver the message, because that was your plan for that day. If they have told you to go and deliver that message, you must complete it before anything else. So what are you? What personality are you?
I'm 50% dove, 50% oil.
So your dove nature was stopping you from delivering.
yeah. So again, recognizing that where does your natural inclination come from? That usually comes out in very difficult situations. That's where your trumping nature takes up. Yeah. Because that's what's the driver of you. That's what's the deliverer of the message. So, thank you very much. I would like to have a gentleman, and I need you again.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would like to have.